Good evening, Mount Vernon again. This is Mayor Shawyn Patterson Howard, and we just had a nice hour with our Senator Jamal Bailey and our Congressman Elliott Engel, but we are transitioning because it is election season in Mount Vernon and across our country. And we have another very, very important election coming up, and that is for our Mount Vernon Library trustees. And so tonight we have with us 5 candidates who are all vying for 2 seats as library trustees here in the city of Mount Vernon. We have Mr. Jamie Pessin, Miss Andrea Fobbs, Miss Hope Marable, Miss Lauren Razor, and Miss Caitlin Gleason. And we want to welcome each of them here tonight. Welcome, everyone, and thank you. So we have some rules. Everyone will receive 1 minute to introduce themselves, and I'm not going to necessarily ring the bell for that, but you have 1 minute to introduce yourselves. Then we will have a series of 3 questions from me, and we will also take questions from the audience. And then at the end, we will give everyone 1 minute to give a closing thought and a wrap up. We ask that you please take this time to share this video on your Facebook page so that other people can see it. Please take a moment to share the video. If you have your cell phone or another device that you're not on right now, please share it so that other people can see what's going on here tonight. One second. All righty, and we're going to start now. So we're going to start with our first candidate for trustee, Mr. Jamie Pessin. So Mr. Pessin, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Well, first I want to say thank you, Mayor Shawyn Patterson Howard, for hosting this program. I do think that it is an honor to be on the program and for everybody to be on the program at the same time. Everybody can hear our views. My name is Jamie Pessin. Currently, I am a trustee. I was appointed. I've only served for a few months. And what I want to do is get elected. It's great to be appointed, but I want to be selected by the people. That way I have your full permission to do what it is that I plan to do. I have a bachelor degree in management. I have an MBA with a concentration in accounting. Right now, I am a fundraiser at a nonprofit that's pretty big, and we have goals of literacy at this nonprofit, as well as I help bring community resources and manage grants that we're able to accept to make sure that they are fulfilled to the letter. I do want to be your trustee, and it's tough going first because you don't know exactly what to say, but I want to tell you one thing, that we did have a 0% increase on the budget. I do see that I am over time, so we'll learn about me as this goes. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I have my stop thing here, so want to make sure everyone's getting fair time. The next person up will be our Miss Andrea Fobbs. Miss Fobbs, if you could introduce yourself. She's on mute. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Andrea Fobbs, and I thank you for inviting me to participate in this forum. I am passionate about the library. I wear it on my master's in public administration and a focus on public policies. My undergrad is in psychology, and I have experience of working in the library for at least 12 years. I started with Westchester Library System as a consultant, and then was able to become a program coordinator for Nourish Health Public Library. So all the things that I have learned within the library system, I've always brought it back home. And my home is Mount Vernon, the library. And I'm excited to be able to share how much I want to be a trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Hope Marable. Hope, please unmute yourself. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for hosting us this evening. And I would like to extend my appreciation to all of the other candidates, and it's good to see everyone here this evening. I am a Mount Vernonite from day one, born and raised in the city of Mount Vernon, New York. I became enamored with the library as a child. I have a bachelor's degree in behavioral science and an advanced diploma in paralegal studies. I'm not an attorney, but I have been a practicing paralegal since 2004, and I specialize in labor management disputes. I prepare EEO complaints, grievances for state and federal employees. I serve as a liaison between employees and their unions and their managers. Apart from that, I have a vision for the library itself. I believe that we need to reinvent the library, and I believe that we are especially tasked now with doing so with all that's going on. My name is Hope Marable, and I am 3B on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person up in the queue is going to be Miss Lauren Razor. Unmute yourself.
I'm happy to be here this evening. Of course, we're all happy to be healthy and well. I want to thank the mayor and thank Malcolm Clark for doing the follow-up, and I really appreciate it. My name is Lauren Razor, and I'm an attorney and a proud resident of the city of Mount Vernon. I am an advocate, and I'm a person that deals with policy as part of her trade. I have a BA, also a BS in management, and also obviously a law degree. I get calls each and every day, even while I'm at home, from mayors, from pastors, from members of the community who are suffering as victims of this unfair system. I've spoken to many of you. What I hope to do as trustee is to bring the transparency that you have asked for this board to actually bring to the community. One of the main duties of a trustee is to manage, shape policy, which I have experienced as corporation counsel, deputy assistant chief. Therefore, as your trustee, I will put the people first. Vote 5B, Lauren Razor.
Thank you. And our last person to introduce themselves will be Miss Caitlin Gleason. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Good evening. I'm Caitlin Gleason. I am presently a Mount Vernon Library trustee. I was appointed in 2016, February 2016. Then I ran for election that May, and I've been on the library board for 4 years. Some of the great things that we have done at the library has got to do with a lot of, keeping up with the building, which is a historic building here in the city of Mount Vernon. I'd like to stay on the board. We have a lot of great new things coming up. We're working on the re-registration of the library, which is unfortunately stalled right now because of COVID. We are also working on a teen tech lab and fundraising. This year, I was chair of the fundraising committee for the golf fountain for the public library. That funds were going directly to the teen tech lab. And I look forward to helping our library, bridge the digital divide when it comes to, programs for seniors and youth and bringing everybody back into the library. Vote 2B, Caitlin Gleason.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for respecting that minute. We pretty much stayed close to it. So we're going to transition, and I'm going to ask 3 questions. So please listen to the questions that I'm asking. And you have a collective of 2 minutes to respond, because we want to make sure that we also get to some questions from the audience, okay? So the first question is, what is one action that you will take as a trustee if elected to the board? 2, how will you work with the school and the city to share services? And 3, what do you feel is the #1 challenge of running the library? I'm going to say those again. What is one action you will take personally as a trustee if elected to the board? 2, how will you work with the school and city to share services? And 3, what do you feel is the #1 challenge of running the library? And Malcolm has already put them in the chat, so you should be able to see them, okay? So we are going to start this time with Miss Fobbs. She was second, so we're going to start with you. You ready? Unmute yourself. Okay,
Okay,
here
so
you
the
go.
first one is, what is the action you will take personally as a trustee? It's not just one action. It's I'm very passionate about capacity building, and I think it's very important to partnership to get the community involved. And so I want to be able to connect businesses as community partners. So then we're able to create this bridge of bringing in revenue, not just only for the library, but for the community. So one of the actions is to really get down on the ground and bring in community partners. So that's very important for me and for the library.
And how will you work with the school and city?
With the school and city is establishing also educational programs, which I was very good at. So the whole thing is not just academically, but also, for example, job readiness, internet for beginners, ESL classes. And the whole problem is we don't have enough space in the library. So working with the school to maybe negotiate using their space to teach classes.
Okay, and what do you feel is the number one challenge of running the library right now?
The number one challenge is the lack of community, many hats. If you have a leader, you let the person lead. But I think it's a point of really having transparency. It's very important. If the challenge is, if they keep building and building, then it's going to be hard to break through and then see what you have to do. So the problem is, if the board doesn't really communicate directly to the director, then the director can't really communicate to the employees.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The next person up will be Ms. Hope Marable. Hope, unmute yourself.
Pardon me.
Okay, here you go.
One of the things that I'm most passionate about is the historical content that is attached to our public library. We have books of great value, relics. From what I understand, there is not a whole lot of room for, and yet the library needs funding. What I don't understand is, why are we not curating these books? Are we not cataloging these relics? These relics can serve as a source of raising income, funding for the library. If we should be curating these items, we should be cataloging them, and this would be a great way for us to raise funds for the library, one book at a time, so to speak. Another thing that I would personally take on the task is—
Hold on, you only have another minute and 2 more questions. So how will you work with the school and city to share services? And what's the number one challenge?
What I would do is I would reinforce the existing relationships that I already have with the school district. I was an employee for the school district for over a decade, and I still have very strong relationships with a lot of the staff there within the school district. That is one thing I would do. And the challenge of running the library, I think that the hugest challenge is people should know their box. If you hire a director, you allow the director to do their job, you hire a competent director, you hire competent staff, and you allow those people to perform those duties accordingly without overlapping.
Okay, you have 10 seconds. Anything else?
Yes, my name is Hope Marable, and I am 3B on the ballot.
Oh, okay. I'm loving these tight answers tonight. Thank you. So the next one is Lauren Razor. Unmute yourself. I want to make sure that we're not eating up any of your time with muting and unmuting.
Got the stopwatch. Yes, thank you
Oh,
once
I
again.
have the stopwatch.
Thank you once again. Great question. My first action would be to work with the board and make sure that they comply with their own checklist. They have it posted online, and the checklist basically says that the library board is not about I, it is about we. It is about bringing the best to this community. So that would be the first line, is to foster a more we with the employees, with the board, and with various other personnel within the library. So that's number one. Also, one of the big issues is transparency. You want the community to know what's going on in the library. Your second question, how will we share service with the two entities, the city of Mount Vernon and also the school district? You have a recreation department. You have various departments where we can have synergy on various programs. Obviously, schools need libraries. The recreation department that deals heavily with children, you can develop programs with those two entities that seem to have the synergy. Next question, I'm sorry. The biggest challenge is two things. The certification. Without the certification or the registration of the library doesn't exist. The certification hasn't been done for over years and still pending. New Rochelle actually had some of the same issues that we had in Mount Vernon, and New Rochelle is now certified. So the most important thing is get there and get that done. Second, the last one is that we really need to have what they call synergy with the pandemic. We have to prepare a library that is going to be incredibly different in the future. The pandemic has changed everything. That is a serious commitment, something that we have to look at and don't take lightly. And we should be planning for that before we open.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. There you go. I'm loving it. This is wonderful, wonderful. Hopefully you all feel like you're getting the time that you need, but your answers are tight, and that's what I think the community needs to hear. So the next one is going to be Caitlin Gleason. You can unmute yourself. All right, so Caitlin.
Yes. Okay. So one of the first actions I would take being reelected to the board. Well, I mean, I would continue to do what we have been doing, and all three questions kind of come together. So what we've been doing, we've been partnering with a lot of the city departments, the youth bureau. When I first got on the board, there was only 4 youth that are hired. Last year, we had 30 to 40 youth from the city that were hired. Shared services. One of the best things that just recently happened, Mayor Howard, was something that you actually helped us with, and that was getting the proper PPE into the library so that we could open properly. One of the challenges of the library at this time is COVID. I mean, that's a huge challenge. I agree with the other panelists here tonight. We have to come up with a plan, but that's not actually the Board of Trustees. That's the director that will come up with the plan, and we will tweak it and make sure that it works for our community. As the other panelists mentioned about transparency, we have minutes up on board docs, and they're pretty much down to, you know, the minute of everything is said. So I think transparency is there already. But I mean, obviously, we can all work on things to make things better. Some of the shared services, we partnered with the school district to do a book signing. We did the book signing. We got the schools in to, I believe it was Thornton High School. We've been working with Mount Vernon Police Department. I had taken the Citizens Police Academy and had a conversation with Detective Clark. So we started a active shooter threat training in the library. We have the school resources officers coming to the library, and I'm Caitlin Gleason. I am 2B.
Thank you. Thank you. So the last one for this round of questioning will be Jamie Pessin. So Jamie, if you can unmute yourself. And
Thank
we're
you.
ready.
Thank you. So one action that I will take personally as a trustee if elected. Well, before I ever wanted to be a trustee, I was advocating to the city council that we need a landmark preservation committee. I'm going to continue to advocate for that. I'm going to make the library the heart of establishing our history in this city, because I don't think that we celebrate it enough. We have schools that we rename. We have people that have done great in the city that we forget. And I'm going to use the library as an opportunity to write our history in stone. We're going to also improve aesthetic qualities through arts and grants, and we're going to do right by the people. One of those things is opening up the library in a safe way post-pandemic, and we are working on that, as well as improving the security, as well as improving the lighting, as well as improving the building. And I'm going to make it my priority that the library is a place for people, open and ready for business. To answer the second question, how will I work with the school and the city? Well, I've already been working for several years with all of the people in this city in different capacities, whether it's cleanup projects, whether it's filming city council meetings, whether it's when I was on the cable advisory board, I worked with Lauren Razor so that we could get stuff done. I'm going to just continue to work with any and everybody, because I'm a lifelong Mount Vernon person that loves this place, is never moving. I don't care how much a house sells for. I'm just going to live here. So the last question, what do you feel is the #1 challenge of running the library? Well, the thing is, we have to have a good director, because I want to get out of the way. I serve on the policy and the governance board, and I plan to create accountability, transparency, and expectations. And I expect a director to live up to it. I think we have a great director, and I don't throw any baby out with the bathwater. Everybody gets a chance. We are Mount Vernonites, but we do have to work together. I'm Jamie Pessin, 4B. I do hope you vote for me, because I'm already on the board.
Okay, thank you. So that was the mayoral lightning round of questions. We do have some questions from private citizens. The questions right now are in the chat box, but I'm going to also read them aloud, and it's 2 questions. So we're going to do another round, and you will have 90 seconds to answer these 2 questions. Okay, because you have 2 minutes for 3, you'll get 90 seconds for 2. So the first question is, where do you see the current direction of the library heading? And then the second one is, the library willing to assist community members that would like to start programs for the kids with possible space. So where do you see the current direction of the library heading? And would the library partner with the community to do programs in the community? So we're going to start off here with Ms. Hope Marable. I'm just setting you up the way you're in my screen and in my queue. So Ms. Hope Marable, if you can start this round of questions, unmute yourself, and we're ready with the time.
I have long ago pleaded with our city's leadership to establish some sort of historical preservation committee, a legacy committee for the city of Mount Vernon, New York. I don't know why it has not taken place yet, but that is the direction that I see that the library has to take. I have stated once before, we have contributed a whole lot to historically Black colleges and universities. We need to hone in on that history. We need to dedicate a special room at the library specifically for it, so that we can engage people in our community. That's the way that the community that's the way that the library has to go. We have to engage the community. The library serves as a source of information and education. If we want to inform our community and educate our community, we have to make them feel passionate about coming to the library. And right now, I don't see that with our library, but that's the direction that I would take our library into as a member of the trustee board.
30 more seconds. And how would you partner with people in the community to start programs? You have 20 seconds now.
Okay. Well, as I said before, I would use my strong community ties to do so. I will listen to the people in the community, as I have been doing, and I will find out from them what direction they would like to see the library take. Make a long story short, that's what I would do. I would use my strong community ties to strengthen the library and to educate myself about what our community members would like to see for our library. I'm Hope Marable. I'm 3B on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lauren Razor, unmute yourself first. Unmute yourself. I don't want to eat up your time with muting and unmuting. You ready? You're still muted? There you go. Let's start.
Yeah. Thank you for the question and thank the audience for their time this evening to ask the question. What we have to do is put a plan together for the library of the future in terms of Mount Vernon. Where do we see ourselves and all of the issues that impact the library? In all other places and counties, there is what they call the super plan, and the super plan is for the future of the library. For example, how does technology intersect? How do we deal with seniors? How do we deal with some of the problems? So for example, in Mount Vernon, we have issues sometimes with our young people. We need more of what do they call it, a teen librarian. We have someone there, but we really need to focus because that is where we lose our children. If they're able to read, if they're able to explore, we can capture them instead of other people capturing them. Partnering with programs. To answer that question, that's an easy one. We have a mayor that talked about SNUG and talked about other programs that she is involved with. We would take a look at how we can utilize the community programs and the community to partner with the library to tell us what it is that we need. But we do need a plan for the future. Where do we fit in? Thank you.
Thank you. You
I
have
yield
like
my
7
time
more
to-
seconds.
I know, I yield my time to Andrea. I'm just kidding.
Okay. So our next person will be Miss Caitlin Gleason. You want to unmute yourself?
Takes a little while to get it over. Okay, so looking for the future. Well, we have a strategic plan at the library, okay, just so everybody knows. We have to now, after COVID, we have to go back and revisit it, okay, because now everything changes. The strategic plan that we had last year does not apply this year. Although the goals will still remain the same, we have to go about it in a different way, okay? Partnering with the community, I think the question is, what are we willing to do? Okay, to assist the community. Okay, what we have already done, okay? We have opened the library on Friday nights for a youth gaming night. I myself noticed, happened to be having a conversation with somebody in the community who mentioned during the winter, about 3 years ago, a girls' cheerleading team was basically working out outside. I found a way, worked with our staff, and found a way to bring that cheerleading team into the library, into the community room, so that they would have a warm place to practice. We're constantly out in the community, partnering with businesses in the community. We can't go out and ask them to be a part of the library if we're not going to support them economically also. So, Andrea, I totally agree with you. One of the best things that we do is before we do anything at the library, we see who in Mount Vernon we can use before we go outside the community, because we can't ask them to come and help us if we're not going to go and help them. So I totally agree with you on that.
Thank you. Time. I'm sorry. I got distracted. You got about 5 more seconds. I have to say that in transparency, because I'm sure someone is keeping a stopwatch in the audience just so they can come and be like, you gave him extra time. Malcolm came in and distracted me with a question. All right. So the next person that will answer that is going to be Mr. Jamie PESSIN.
Thank you. Where do I see the current direction of the library heading? You don't understand. We're going in great directions already, and I only aim to add to that. In the art community, we're going to make the library more aesthetically pleasing. Barnes and Nobles is going away. We're going to make the library more comfortable. College, people are working from home. Some people have online colleges. The library has to be a place that's open longer for you to be able to do your work. The library is going to be safer. It's going to be brighter. It's going to, at times, we're going to get more friendly staff. They're already friendly and I like them a lot, but we're going to put policies in place that make the people who come into the library truly welcome, not rushed, safe. Everything's going to be cleaner. The second question we're going to have is the library willing to assist community members that would like to start programs? Look, I am on the board and I'm going to just make this promise to advocate for this. We're going to open the doors to all associations, but there's going to be policy put in place so that everybody can have a turn. I want anybody that's doing something good in the community to have an open space in the library. And I will fight for that, because I know groups like the Peacekeepers who disbanded because they didn't have a space. I know groups like Snug that could use a space. I know lots of groups that don't have a space, and we have to offer that opportunity, of course, at a low cost and in a fair way. So that's what I see. Jamie Pessin, 4B.
All righty, thank you. And Ms. Fobbs. Unmute yourself. You see it? There you
Okay,
go.
here we go.
Okay.
Okay, I think what everyone is saying is the whole thing is we still want the library to move forward. And in order for it to really move forward and for us to connect with businesses and community partners, is the one thing I've always stressed to the library myself is creating a community calendar, not just services or programs that are only created from the library, but also to reach out to each individual business and saying, how can we partner? That's a way, if they want to teach, for example, if it's a plumbing company and they want to be able to teach classes so young kids can come in and learn about plumbing, they should be able to have the space within the library. And so the thing is, if we don't come out of pocket marketing, it's how you're able to start bridging these, these companies to come in and say, okay, I can provide a service. So what we have to realize is the library is becoming a hub, and is becoming a hub of community-based programs. And so if you link it to the schools and you link it to the businesses, then we're able to be able to sustain not only the library, but our community. And that's very important.
Thank you. All righty. So now we have a few questions, and we're kind of running down on our time. We're not going to be able to have everyone answer each question. So I'll give a question and I will have someone answer it. Okay, so we're going to start, because I think the last question went to Hope. She started off. So we'll start off this round with Ms. Razor. Ms. Razor, be prepared to unmute yourself. Okay. Ms. Razor, what ways have you supported the library as a private citizen?
In terms of how I support the library, I support the community at large. I'm a practitioner. I have met with, even during the pandemic, I have counseled people and given my legal services for free. I practice here in a community that is in need heavily of legal services. I have spent my entire career in public service. Part of what I do as a practitioner, and those who call me, I give away and spend most of my day giving away a lot of my free legal services. So in terms of the library itself, I've been there, I know about the library, I've supported the library in terms of the people that are there. I have the support of CSEA on a major level that is putting their faith in me as an advocate, as I have advocated for the city and people in the city, and for citizens who are in desperate need of legal services. And I have done that, and that was my commitment. And I hope to carry it into the trustee board. I'm counting down with you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm sorry. So because this is just one question, we're giving you 60 seconds, which kind of gives you a little time. So thank you so much for that answer. The next question, we're going to go now over to Caitlin. And what guarantees can you give city residents that you won't allow them to take our central library status away?
Oh, the central library status is a hot topic. Uh, what will I do? I mean, we'll do what we did before. We basically rallied the community. I mean, Mount Vernon doesn't need anything taken away from them. I mean, we were very lucky that we were alongside my running mate, Jamie Pessin, Brenda Crump. We rallied the community. Okay, and we got them to go to Westchester Library System and demand that we keep the central library status. Once we got the central library status, WLS took the money away from us. But we were very lucky that Legislator Williams put the money into the Westchester County budget, and we were able to get $50,000 back into the Mount Vernon Public Library. And a portion of the money is going to be used for this NSSA program that is going to be a virtual program starting in July. And it's a mathematical program that's going to be a game changer for our youth in the community. I also wanted to say we do have a community calendar called Burbio, and that's something that the whole community can go on and see what's going on. As long as different departments put their information in, it's on there.
Thank you. Hold on, let me make sure I reset my thing. I'm losing focus. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pick questions and so Jamie, this question is for you. What type of volunteer activities were you doing in the community before running for office?
Oh, thank you for the question. Okay, so I've done a lot. I'll just keep it brief. One of the things I did is for 5 years, I videotaped city council meetings as I advocated for transparency. I also served on the cable advisory board, which we were trying to get public access cable installed. When it didn't work because there was some legal troubles that the city needs to work out, I decided to film with my own time. I've done cleanup projects. And by the way, I want to mention that all meetings right now are very transparent with Zoom, and I encourage that continues post-pandemic. I've did conversations with Ernie Davis as his co-host. I did my own radio show, Mount Vernon Matters. But most importantly, I live in Mount Vernon. I volunteered to stay here. I have 3 children. I have a wife who works for City Hall. We care about this community. We want to live in it, and I'm willing to give my time in any way. And that's probably why the board successfully appointed me, because I have the time. I live 2 blocks away. I'm willing to put the work in, and I've gone to library meetings, other places, because I believe in benchmarking.
Thank you. I'm sorry. This next question is for Ms. Fobbs. Ms. Fobbs, what would you do to stop the revolving door of directors where they can establish meaningful, lasting relationships that help the library, the patrons, and the patrons, staff, and community?
Directors. Number one, as a board of trustee, it's how you are able to interview your director. And not only that, there has to be, I'm going to use the word again, there has to be transparency of what the board is expecting from the director, and then what the director is expecting to run the library. And so it's not just the board of trustees and of course the director, then you have the employees. So in order to establish meaningful relationships, it has to be where we understand the bylaws, we understand the policies, we understand what it takes for the board of trustees to allow the director to have this forum of opening up and sharing what they need to share. Did we lose her? Oh, okay.
I'm here.
So, and the strong relationships of course with the library and the patrons, I'm very good at networking. So okay, really quick, all the things that I've learned at New Rochelle Public Library, I've always brought it back, and I continue to mentor and tutor the patrons, the community. So that's how I'm able to keep whatever we're learning here in Mount Vernon.
Okay, and because I didn't have any more questions, I'm just going to go back to one of the other questions for Hope. And then after Hope's question, we're going to go to your closing statements. which are a minute, okay? So Hope, because this is, please name what type of, no. What guarantees will you give the residents that you won't let them take away our central library status? You have 1 minute. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Well, I think it was Einstein that once said, a wise person solves a problem, but a brilliant person avoids one. I believe that we got to that low place. I believe that it was totally unavoidable to begin with. And so from day one, I would put the hard work in, and I would see to it that we're no longer in peril of having our central library status removed. You hire the proper director, you vet the person appropriately, and you make sure that the director knows specifically what his or her responsibilities are. You don't overlap the responsibilities of a director and a trustee. That is unacceptable, and it is unethical, and it is not the position of a library trustee. And so that's what I would do, prevention, because quite honestly, there's no excuse for us to have even gotten at that point. I thought that was ridiculous. Thank you. And I'm Hope Marable, and I'm 3B on the ballot. And that won't happen on my watch. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and this is the end where we're going to ask that you give your final closing statement. So who's the last person that led? It went around? Okay. So with our closing statements, we'll just start as we're going to go backwards. With our closing statements, we're going to start with Miss Caitlin Gleason, and she'll be first. So there you go, Caitlin.
Okay, my name is Caitlin Gleason. I am 2B on the ballot. You're going to be receiving an absentee ballot that has everybody's name on it. Pick 2 and vote for 2B. One of the things I wanted to let everybody know is that there isn't a revolving door of directors. We did release one director about 4 or 5 years ago. The most previous director was an interim director, which people get confused with somebody who's the actual director of the library. And that director's been reassigned to a different department. And we've got a dynamic new director that I cannot wait for. He's already started, but he started in the middle of COVID. I'm very excited to see what he's got going. And we can't wait to partner with him and partner with the school district, which we have been doing over the course of the last few years. We have a great new partnership with the city. Mayor, thank you so much. And I just want to stay on the board and continue the progress of moving the library forward. My name's Caitlin Gleason, row 2B.
Thank you. Thank you, Caitlin. Miss Lauren Razor, you're next. You're unmuting yourself.
I'm unmuting. Thank you again, community, and thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to present some of the things that I look forward to doing. Of course, I have written a book called Living the Wealthy Life. I say that because my dedication to young people was through the book that I wrote that gave them 18 principles of success. So when it talks about some of the things that I've done, I've walked the walk with people that have needed advocacy like myself. This board is, there is a checklist that is on the website that talks about evaluating the board. They cannot give themselves a good grade. It's up to the community and the voters to determine whether, and the employees and the staff determine whether they are doing well. It is not the board that determines who is doing well. What is the grade that you're going to get from this community? You have unrest from the members of the staff members. You have picketing. Vote 5B for a change.
Thank you. Okay, our next person is going to be Hope Marable. So if you can unmute yourself.
I would just like to start out by saying that I did contact Mr. Davis, and I suggested that we have an architect that specializes in urban planning when rezoning the library past COVID. I believe a library trustee should be a visionary. Today's technology can aid us in rethinking the library as we seek to restore and celebrate our city, school district, and library's lineage and contribution to the world at large. I see a library of the future that honors the past, a past that reflects the beauty of culture, history, and intellect, all the things that have defined and will redefine us as a community. And that's the vision that I have for our library. If we redefine our library, our central library, we will redefine ourselves as a community. We have to bring respect back to Mount Vernon, New York, and we must do that through these institutions: City Hall, our library, our school district, the triangle. That is the way. I am Hope Marable, and I am 3B on the ballot. I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you. Thank you, Hope.
Thank you.
And next we have Ms. Fobbs. If you can unmute yourself, Ms. Fobbs.
Okay. So as a library, I'm just going to read it. So as a library board of trustee, the whole point is, the key word is trust. And so I'm asking for you to trust me. I am here for the welfare of the library, supporting quality library service. We need to adopt new policies. We need raising. We need in-kind contributions. We need to secure adequate funding, building community partnerships. And also, I'm very passionate about volunteers. Right now, in the midst of COVID, I am out there volunteering my time, feeding over 800 families. So it's important that we utilize the people that would like to volunteer at the library, because they're experts. So promoting the library programming to the public and maintain a liaison between trustees, the director, and the employees and the community, because we're all in it together. Thank you.
Thank you.
And vote for 1B.
Thank you, Ms. Fobbs. All right, and our last candidate for trustee, you have a minute to give your closing statement, Mr. Jamie PESSIN.
All right, everybody. First thing I want to say is vote Jamie PESSIN for 4B. The second thing I want to say is vote for Caitlin Gleason 2B. We are a team. We are on an effective board that has already done many things and will continue to do many things. One thing I want to let you know, when I was on the cable advisory board, I showed up for 100% of the meetings. We have library meetings that get canceled because we can't get a quorum. I live 2 blocks away from the library. I work in the nonprofit community, raising money, building relationships along literacy. If you want somebody that's going to show up to the party, that is me, because I care about the library. I've had many family members that have worked there, and I want to serve. The board already selected me as a great choice over everybody on this panel, minus the trustee that's already there, to serve the library. I think it's worth it for the community to select me, for me to get a chance, and for Jamie PESSIN 4B and also Kathleen Gleason 2B to remain on the board.
Okay, everyone, I want to thank you so much for the time that you've given tonight. I want to say this. Look, it is more than a notion, putting yourself out before the public to run for office. We know that it is not easy, whether it's a library, whether it's a school board, whether it's city council, mayor, controller, dog catcher, hip hop artist, whatever. Putting yourself out there to run for elected office in the city of Mount Vernon, in any city, is not an easy thing to do. So thank you for offering up yourselves for service. And I just want to know, by a show of hands, everyone got an invitation to this video that is Zoom, right? Everyone got an invitation? Okay. Everyone had instructions before you came on here for what the rules were. We set the ground rules in advance, and no one received advanced questions. No one received advanced questions. And people asked, they said, do you have questions to send out? But I never had the luxury of having questions in advance when I ran for mayor. And so we wanted to make sure that everything was fair. We wanted to make sure that we provided a fair and equitable platform for people to express their thoughts and their opinions. And then we leave it up to the voters to make their decision, because that is what democracy is about. So before we close, I just want to say to everyone, June 9th is the library as well as the school board election on June 9th. We need you to make sure that you complete your absentee ballots. You will not be able to go to any of the polling places because polling places are closed because of COVID. The library is a place that is extremely, extremely special to me. As a resident of Mount Vernon, as someone who grew up going into the children's room, and then in 7th grade, I went to the library at least 4 days a week after school, and we sat upstairs in the reference room, and we read classic books that we had to read from Mr. Say's class, and we did the same thing in 8th grade. The library is not just a place where you go and check out books, it's a place where literacy is done. We've done Let Girls Learn Day there. We've done, the comic programs there. There are so many vibrant things that are happening, and we have to make sure that our library is a center of not only learning and literacy, but that it is a safe haven for our young people to go. We have to make sure that it is safe, and that we have the proper staffing and the proper tools and equipment to make sure that when our young people are there, that they are occupied and that they are able to participate in positive activities. We want to make sure that it is a repository of information. We have one of the best law libraries in the country at the Mount Vernon Public Library. And I was one of those people that went and spoke at the hearings to keep Mount Vernon Library the central library of Westchester Library System. And that is something I am still committed to doing. We've seen an increase in the internet systems there and our capacity to provide, to really reduce the digital divide. And I know some more laptops are coming and more stations will be set up. So we have to keep our library going in a great direction. Nothing is perfect. We have work to do in all of our city institutions, And I am asking everyone who is sitting here on this panel tonight, win, lose, or draw. Win, lose, or draw. I hope that the same passion that you've displayed on this live tonight is the same passion and commitment that you will continue to display regardless of whether or not you win, because volunteerism is still important. This is not a paid position, so you're not getting paid whether you make it through the election or not. It's still a volunteer position. One's just volunteer elected and one will just be volunteering unelected. And so please, our young people, our seniors, our community needs our library, and we need everyone to stay as committed as you say you are tonight on this live, in helping not only the library move forward, but Mount Vernon move forward together. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed evening. Again, June 9th is the election, not only for library trustee, there are 2 positions, but we also have our school board trustees election that day as well. And everything is going to be done through absentee ballot. We will have our school board trustees on this same platform on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. We will have those candidates who are running for school board trustee here on our Tuesday night update at 7 p.m. So please share that information with your friends. We're going to make sure that we pin this to the top of our Facebook page. We're asking that people continue to share this Zoom, this Facebook Live, so that people can see it and people can be informed. Everyone, God bless you. Thank you and have a wonderful night. Take care.